excited, so I just didn't put them back on. I have 3 numbers here. Can anybody read what those numbers are? Yes. 237. So can anybody guess what I'm waiting for? 237. Yes. Great guess, though. Good try. Becca. What? Nice memory. I talked about waiting last week. Talked about my daughter's going to school. Good guess, but no. Yes. Oh, wait. What was yours? That would be great. That would be cool, but that's not what I'm waiting for. Anybody, any other guesses? 237. What does this represent? Days. So any guesses? Think about it. Bree. You're getting very hot. Can someone tell me what day is going to be in 237 days? You guys are on it. I almost died. Yes. Christmas. Give it up for Grayson, guys. Give it up. 237 days till Christmas. Did you say really because you can't believe it's that far away? Well, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm always thinking about Christmas, dude. When you guys, when do you guys start counting down for Christmas? Obviously not 237 days. Whenever it's December, so 25. Anybody else? Somebody else got to count more than that. Yeah. 30 days. Anybody count down around Thanksgiving or like beginning of November because people start listening to Christmas music then? Yes. How long do you start counting down from? That was a paper towel, not from the bathroom. But thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes. Does anybody start listening to Christmas music in October? Kendrick, much respect, lost my brother. No, I'm just messing. Yes. Anybody start counting down before Thanksgiving? Raise your hand. Yeah. Anybody put just leave their Christmas lights up all year long? Maybe, sometimes. Okay. What about this? When does your family start decorating for Christmas? Day after Thanksgiving. That's traditional, right? Yes. They're like, dang it, we forgot.
Because she's got turkeys that have to come down.
Oh.
The turkeys have to come down.
Yes, they do. You're right. Okay, when do you start decorating? When your mom feels like it? Okay. Okay, that actually leads perfectly to the next question. How much do you enjoy decorating for Christmas with your family on a 1 to 10? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. 7. Just shout out the numbers. Why do you got to be that half person, all right? Why do you got to be that way? No, it's messing. 1. Kurt is the Grinch of all Grinches. Lily's shaking her head no. I think she's a 1. Are you a 1, Lily? You're an 11. Oh. Man, Cap, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, 2. Any 6s out there? Any 7s? Okay. All right, so the moral of all these questions is nobody's thinking about Christmas yet, right? Nobody, right? But Christmas is something we have to wait on, right? Like when the time gets closer, we start thinking about the things we want. We start thinking about some of the traditions. I start thinking about the cookies, the type of cookies I'm going to eat. Thanks, Yolanda, for laughing at me. All right, I like cookies, okay? So there's a tradition in my family where my aunt always sends us cookies, these little cookie tin things from South Dakota. And so I always look forward to that, but there's always a waiting process, right? You always got to wait for that to happen. And sometimes, maybe for you it was when you were younger, and maybe it hasn't hit you yet, how much you have to wait for something like Christmas or a holiday, another holiday, or a tradition with the family. But waiting can be hard. Waiting can be hard. And when we're not talking about a holiday, and we're talking about maybe an answered prayer, maybe waiting on things to get better at home, maybe waiting on a friendship to either start or end or be mended. There's a lot of things we can wait on. And today we're not going to talk about Christmas. We're going to talk about family. We're talking about fighting. Anybody here fight with their family? Throw your hand in the air. Okay, good. Just kidding. We're going to talk about what it's like to be sick of waiting, to just get sick and tired of it. And we're going to talk about wanting to give up. And so that's a little bit more serious. Raise your hand if you've ever wanted to give up on something major in your life. Okay, a lot of people here wanted to give up. Let me encourage you with this. Remember, we've been going through this in the series. God has a plan for you. God has a plan for those who wait. We talked about the faithfulness God shows us when we trust him. And Zach shared about Abraham and his wife and how they had to wait. We talked about Paul and how Paul and Silas had to wait and how they praised God in the midst of their storms in prison. We talked about how God is always listening to your prayers. We talked about King David. The theme of King David's life was he was always running, right? He was always running away from Saul. He was always waiting. He was constantly in a state of waiting for his kingship. But he trusted God and he kept praying. He kept talking to God. And God's listening to you. He's faithful to you. And I can think about my life in a time where I wanted to give up. And when I think back on a time that I wanted to give up, I remember it was during a friendship I had that was on some rocky ground. Had a friend of mine that I actually roomed with in college. His name is Israel. And actually didn't grow up around him a lot, actually. His family moved a lot. His dad worked on airplanes. So they would move to different airports. He would work on airplanes. But we stayed best friends from a very early age. We would spend sometimes only a week together a year. Sometimes we wouldn't see each other for a couple years. But anybody had one of those friendships that even though there was a distance, you just couldn't break that bond you had? Okay, a lot of us have had those long-distance friendships. Well, I got to a place with my best friend. We kept growing closer and closer. We went to camp together in the summer. And there was a time when we kind of clashed a little bit. And it was actually because I started spending time with some other people. I started spending some time with some other people and kind of just ignored him as my friend. And I remember when I realized what I had done, not intentionally, but I had done it to hurt him, when I realized that he was angry at me, he was kind of feeling resentful, he was feeling like, he was kind of done with our friendship. I was in a place where I wanted to give up on it too. And I was struggling with that. I was like, how do I be friends with these people? How do I do this? But my friendship with my best friend not be sacrificed. And I remember talking to God about that. I remember just feeling like, God, I don't even know what to do. I can't do this right over here. I can't do this right over here. I just want to give up. And God worked to mend that. But in that time, some of the things I felt were this. I felt like I was in a mess, felt alone. I felt, even though I had people around me, one of those most important relationships was broken. I felt like something was missing. That was a big part of my life before. And I think as I thought back on that friendship and that time, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I thought about, as I was getting ready for this sermon, I thought about the story of Joseph in the Bible. Anybody here ever heard the story of Joseph? Raise your hand. Or if you haven't raised your hand yet, if you've heard Joseph and the coat of many colors, raise your hand. Okay. If you don't know the story in detail, you might have heard it as a kid growing up in church or in a Bible story. There's a lot to the story of Joseph. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to summarize it for you. And so I'm going to be in Genesis 37 for a few minutes. So if you want to pull that up on your phone, you can. I'm just going to be reading to you. If it's better for you just to sit and just listen to it, okay? So Genesis 37 starts the story of Joseph. And I'm going to go through it quickly and just kind of summarize some of the things that happened with Joseph, all right? So first thing you need to know about Joseph's life early on. Joseph had it all. He had everything he needed. He was the second youngest son of, I believe it was 12 brothers. And he had everything he needed. He was actually the favorite son. Anybody here ever felt like the favorite kid in your family? It's all right, unashamedly. Okay, only Stella. Stella, are you an only child? No, I'm just kidding. So Joseph had it all. He was the favorite son. He had a coat of many colors that that was made for him by his mother. And how do you think his brothers felt about that, Joseph? How do you think he felt about him? Mad, jealous. Joseph got all the attention. And Joseph, like I said, he had it all. And he actually kind of flaunted that a little bit, kind of bragged about that a little bit. He told his brothers dreams that he had about how they were bowing down to him, how they were stalks of grain bowing down to him, and how there were stars in the sky and they were all shining toward him. And he made his brothers angry. He made his brothers angry, even though he had it all. And so instead of taking a hint that his brothers were angry at him, they resented him, Joseph just kind of kept carrying on, right? Carrying on with his beautiful coat, talking about his dreams, these visions that God was giving him, sharing those with his brothers. And it drove his brothers crazy. It drove his brothers crazy. And so, does anybody know what his brothers did to him? Yes, Riley. Yes, pretty much. They actually, some of his brothers said, let's kill him. They resented him so much. They said, let's kill him, let's get rid of him. But he had a couple brothers that were like, and one in particular, I think it was Reuben, that said, no, we can't kill our own brother. Let's not quite kill him, right? Let's not actually go through. If this leads to death, maybe, right? But he said, no, you know what? Let's take care of this a different way. So they dug a pit, threw him into a pit, and they tore up his clothes, his coat of many colors, put animal blood on it, took it to his father and mother, and said, they lied. They said Joseph's been killed, and they left him there to die. And so he's gone from having it all to literally being at the lowest of lows. He's in a pit, right? And his brothers decide, you know what? Okay, he's in this pit, but remember, we don't want to go through all the way with killing him. So let's just sell him into slavery. And so they sell him into slavery. They sell him to Ishmaelites. And he's taken to Egypt as a slave. And so his mom and dad think he's gone. His brothers think that he's gone forever, right? He's been sold into slavery. Can you guys imagine what Joseph was feeling? Can you imagine what he was experiencing? Can anybody imagine that a little bit? What are some of the emotions you think Joseph might have been feeling? Yes, Alex. Depression. Dude, if I felt like my own family hated me, like my kin, my brothers, my sisters, if I felt, I would feel depressed. Bree. Okay, he felt maybe so low, maybe he wanted to give up and his own life to be taken from him or take his own life. He might have felt that. What else? What else could he have felt? Yeah, Riley. Alone. Man, imagine how he felt before if his brothers all looked down upon him, despised him. Imagine how he feels now. Carted off to Egypt without hope that he's ever going to see his family again. And I doubt he was really thinking about seeing his brothers again, right? They left him for dead, sold him into slavery. The only thing they hadn't done is actually kill him. They left him to be sold into slavery. So Joseph is going through this. He's going through this, and he goes into Egypt, but actually God starts using Joseph for opportunities. Some of you may know the story, but Joseph starts as a slave. He kind of works up in the house that he was in. He was in the house of Potiphar, who was a Egyptian ruler, someone high up in command, and he started serving for him in his house. So he kind of moved up the ranks as a slave, as a servant. He was trusted. Well then, does anybody know what happens next? Yeah, Michael, what happens next? Yeah, the owner's wife, Potiphar's wife, tries to seduce him. tries to trick him, right? And Joseph is a godly man still, which I think is amazing. Joseph is a godly man. Despite all that he's been through, Joseph still believes that God is with him. He believes that God is with him and believes that God is in his life. And so Joseph resists that, right? He resists that temptation. He says, no, I can't do that. That would not only go against what I believe, but that would also go against my master, Potiphar. And so she actually, I don't know what the word is for it, she blackmails him. She says that he tried to tempt her, he tried to seduce her, and you know what? Her word was kind of important. And so Potiphar throws him into prison. He throws, what's that? Yeah. She throws him into prison, and he's, again, left at the lowest of low places. So not only had he gone all the way down into the pit, been taken to Egypt, and then God used opportunities, well, then something else hard hit him. And then he's back in prison. He's probably feeling abandoned. He was preyed on by powerful people, even though he was doing the right thing. Have you guys ever done the right thing and either, one, not gotten credit for it, or two, been kind of preyed upon? And I say that in a sense of like, people still wanted to use you as like a scapegoat, or like they wanted to blame you for something. Has anybody ever felt like, man, I'm doing what I need to do, but like people are still blaming me for things? People are gossiping about me. I know that happens a lot in schools. Whether you're following a godly path or with the right group of friends, I know that happens a lot. We can't control those things, and neither could Joseph. And so if you were Joseph, sold into slavery, raised in the house of Potiphar, in a dungeon, would you want to do any of these things? Would you want to give up? Would you want to punch somebody? Right? I don't want to punch a few people. Drop kick them. Would you honestly still trust God? Or would you feel like, man, I have no idea? What would you do if you were Joseph? What would you do? What? You wouldn't know what to do? Okay. Yeah. It would be hard to know what to do. The lowest of lows. And this wasn't even the end of Joseph's misfortunes, the bad things that happened to Joseph. Joseph continued to live in prison for years and years. But what did God do? God started using opportunities, right? Again. He started using opportunities. He started to show Joseph as a young boy, when he was a teenager, he started showing him visions and dreams. And so Joseph started to interpret dreams for people. He started to interpret dreams and things that would happen to other people that were in prison. And God eventually used Joseph and took Joseph to a place where his brothers would meet him again. And Joseph had to work through that. I'm sure he wanted to get back at his brothers. But Joseph had to work on that relationship with them. But through it all, here's the theme, guys. Joseph didn't give up. Joseph didn't give up. And so, what is the thing that you're going through? What is the plan that God has for you that you're trying to figure out? You're trying to figure out, God, what do you want me to do? God, how do you want me to live? God, how do you want me to work through this hard situation? God, are you being faithful to me? Are you listening? Can I trust you? Put yourself in Joseph's shoes. Maybe your situation at home, with your friends, at school, even here. Maybe it doesn't feel that extreme. But maybe you do feel like you're waiting on God. You're waiting on God to just make things right. You're waiting on God to correct the situation. Are you going to give up? Are you going to give up, or are you going to go closer to Him? No matter what comes up against you. Here's 5 things that you can do if you feel like you want to give up. And I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. I guess it was rattle and echoes. Here's 5 things you can do. And you guys can talk about these in life groups too when you guys go here in just a couple minutes. Talk to God and don't stop talking to him. David was the example of that. He kept talking to God. He kept praying to God. He kept praising God. Talk to God and don't stop. Tell God how you're feeling. Tell God what you're experiencing. And then ask him to help you hold on. Ask him to keep you close to him. Second thing you do, talk to other people. That not only do we have friendships here in our ministry, but we have life groups. That's what life groups are for, to be a family together. Talk to each other. Share where you're at. Joseph felt abandoned. He felt alone, but you're not, even if you feel that way sometimes. So make sure, talk to people. So talk to God, talk to people. Remember, and the third thing, remember God is stronger than you think. I'm guilty of this. I don't give God enough credit at times for the things he does. Sometimes either in my own life or around me, in the church, in the world around me, I'm like, man, that was awesome. Only God could do that. But really, truly giving God credit for what he's doing. Remember that God is stronger than you think. So anything hard that you go through, remember God is stronger than that. Remember God will pull you through that. Remember God will be for you, not against you. Fourth thing, remember that you're stronger than you think. That's a little bit of self-image, right? A little bit of, who am I? Well, you're made in the image of God. Tyler, Isabella, we got multiple Isabellas in here. Caleb, Copilia, Colton. You guys are made in the image of God. Each and every one of you are made in the image of God. Remember that God created you for a purpose. God created you for a purpose. And you are these things. You are strong, you're resilient, you're capable. You're amazing, flat out. I don't know how often people tell you that, but you guys, each of you are amazing. And if you haven't felt that in a long time, you need to stop right now and realize, man, I am amazing because of who God is, because of who God created me to be. That's the fourth thing. The last thing is this, and it's so important, is to choose hope. In the hard times, in the things you're struggling in, don't choose despair. Don't choose the struggles. Talk about those. Talk to God about them. Share them with your life groups. But remember, choose hope. God is stronger. God made you strong. We have to choose hope so that we can communicate to God that we trust him, that we know that he's faithful. Choose hope. So the challenge with those 5 things, talk to God, talk to other people. Remember how strong God is. Remember how strong God made you. Choose hope. I want to ask you these questions as you guys get ready to go into groups. What are you waiting for? This is the end of this series. So what are you waiting for? Are you ready to talk to God about your struggles? Are you ready to talk to somebody that you trust? It's time to remind yourself of God's strength. It's time to remind yourself of the strength God has given you. It's time to choose hope. No matter how different, how hard, how difficult your circumstance is, God is there while you wait. God is there while you wait, and he doesn't want you to give up. You know, with my friendship, the struggle there of wanting to give up on that and just not knowing which direction should I go, God restored that through some honesty, through some openness, through honestly some brokenness. I think it was the first time I'd ever seen my best friend be emotional. Definitely the first time I'd ever been emotional around him. We had to be very real with each other about the things that were hurting, the struggle there. But in the end, God didn't give up on me. God didn't give up on him. God didn't give up on our friendship. And as I think about that, and I think about you guys, and I think about this series, Waitlisted, waiting on God to be faithful, trusting him, not losing hope, not giving up. I want us to remember, because we're getting ready for summer, right? I know you guys are ready for summer. We're getting ready for summer. There is so much that we can do for God as we get ready to transition into summer. So much we can do when we keep our trust in him. When we know that while we wait on things in life, that he's going to be faithful. So let me pray and then we'll go to groups. God, thank you for this awesome day, for the awesome worship set we had, being able to have fun. God, is so powerful just being able to get up here and worship with these students, seeing their love for you and their energy. And God, I want to thank you that this series has been important for me, important for the things that I'm waiting on, and the things I need to be patient on, how I need to trust you, trust your faithfulness. So God, I just ask that while we wait, we wouldn't give up. Be with these kids. God, love on them. God, use their life groups and their friendships so they can be real with each other, so they can talk to you, so they can talk to each other. Lay it all out on the table, God, to just be open before you. Remembering how strong and mighty and graceful you are. Remembering what you put within us to give us strength. God, remind each of these students how amazing and loved they are by you. And God, help us not forget to choose hope. And we love you, God. In Jesus' name, amen.